This is an introduction to an audiobook that I'm going to post up on YouTube over the next few weeks and months in short 10 to 15 minute segments. It is the final book in a trilogy that I've written over the past 15 years. Each book is standalone. The first, Betrayal in Naples, published by Penguin, and the second, Saving Caravaggio, published by Penguin. This novel is called Low Romantic. It is set in southern Italy, where the high romantics spent a lot of time. I wanted to call it A Man in Love, which was the most would have been the perfect title, but unfortunately, Carl Ove Nausgaard took that one. What is different about this audiobook? I can't imagine any audiobook has been produced like this. It is through composed, which is to say that rather like an opera, it has a score running underneath it for the whole of its duration. That score is written and performed by a very old friend of mine, George Young, who's playing under his recording name, Doofus. George is, by some margin, one of the great guitarists of the world, and it's been a real delight working with him. Other things you need to know. I had a vision for this book when I was writing it. I'd read once that Debussy, the Impressionist composer of the late 19th, early 20th century, wanted to write music without feet, music that was somehow airborne, that wasn't rooted to the ground, that was dreamlike. And Werner Herzog, the German filmmaker, once said that once he has an idea for a film, he waits until he dreams about it, and then he makes the dream version. And I think, in a sense, there is something about how I've executed this novel that there is something as though it is all happening in a dream. It is not very. It's about 70,000 words, which means it's probably regarded as a short novel. Because I didn't want a black screen, or while the novel is being narrated, the music plays, I've created a sort of parallel, slightly impressionistic set of images, mostly very abstract, to sit alongside it, just so there is some visual appeal if you find yourself watching the screen as the book is being narrated. So yeah, that's it. It begins, as all books, it has a couple of pages of sort of miscellaneous stuff before we get into the actual text, and so I'm going to deal with that now. The first is a poem by Emily Dickinson, which I think, I have to say, sums up the heart of this novel in 8 lines, whereas upon, it took me 70,000 words. Okay. There is a pain so utter, it swallows substance up, then covers the abyss with trance, so memory can step around, across, upon it, as one within a swoon goes safely, where an open eye would drop him, bone by bone. This is one of my favourite poems of all time, and I think there is something quite trance-like about my novel. The second page, before we get into the actual book, one of the reasons I'm not going to read it directly to the camera like this is A, obviously I want it through compose, and B, I would make so many mistakes it would take me the rest of my life to record this, as will probably be made clear when I read these. So at the top it says, from the notebooks of Daniel Shawn, and Daniel Shawn is the lead character, the protagonist. In his first quote it says, When I am asked why I have made Naples my home, I reply that a man in love, if you argue strongly for the dignity of such a state, is regarded as a hero. The second quote: despite its narrow streets, Palermo is not like Naples, a city of shadow. Wherever you glance, there are rivulets of gold, pools of light. The stucco and marble on the monuments and buildings are as bright as ice cream, sorbet, candied fruit. If the city had an architect, it is the brash, unforgiving sun. Yet despite all this brilliance, Palermo has a darker aspect, more violent and pitiless than that of Naples. Palermo is a mirage, a trick of the sun. You can walk into the blinding light and not walk out the other side. The final is a quote within a quote. It quotes Keats. When Keats wrote, "A man in love, I do think, casts the sorriest figure in all the world," he must have forgotten for a moment that to be in love is the state par excellence of negative capability. Okay, so with that, in a couple of days or 24 hours, depending, I will post up the first 10 minutes of Low Romantic. I do hope you enjoy it. Please do comment and open everything up for discussion. I'll be happy to discuss all aspects. But my hope is that this is an audiobook. It does something new, different, and creates a medium that is sort of richer and more dimensionalized than the traditional audiobook. Thank you.